The origins of globalization can be traced back to early trade routes like the Silk Road. The Second World War's age of exploration, the 15th to 18th centuries, paved the way for colonization and international trade. The 18th and 19th centuries' Industrial Revolution accelerated economic interdependence. Institutions like the UN and WTO promoted global cooperation after World War II. Information technology enabled immediate global communication in the late 20th century, defining modern globalization, which is characterized by interconnectedness and interdependence across various spheres of life. In the late 19th century, colonialism was in full swing as powerful nations like the British and French expanded their empires across the globe. This era marked a significant chapter in the history of globalization. Colonizers established trade routes, exploited resources, and reshaped cultures, leaving a lasting legacy that still influences our interconnected world today. Step back in time to the 19th century, from 1815 to 1914, a time when the world economy took its first global breath. The Industrial Revolution powered factories and sped up production while explorers and traders connected distant lands, sharing goods and ideas. The telegraph and telephone made communication faster than ever, creating a global marketplace. But with globalization came challenges like inequalities and conflicts. Join us on this journey through the 19th century, where the world economy took its first steps towards the globalized world we know today. Globalization was fueled by technology during the 19th century. The telegraph and telephone transformed communication, while steam engines modified transportation. These inventions paved the way for the interconnected world we live in today by establishing a global marketplace, changing economies and societies. In the late 19th century, colonialism was in full swing as powerful nations like the British and French expanded their empires across the globe. This era marked a significant chapter in the history of globalization. Colonizers established trade routes, exploited resources, and reshaped cultures, leaving a lasting legacy that still influences our interconnected world today. Rinderpest, also known as the cattle plague, was a highly contagious disease that struck cattle worldwide during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Its rapid spread was intertwined with globalization, disrupting economies and livelihoods. International cooperation eventually led to the development of vaccines and the disease's control, highlighting the global community's ability to address shared threats. Globalization was significantly influenced by the migration of indentured workers from India in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Indian laborers were enlisted to toil on plantations and building projects around the world. A rich exchange of traditions was made possible by this global migration, which also reshaped cultures and stimulated economies. It serves as a historical illustration of the intricate relationships between labor mobility and globalization. Indian entrepreneurs during the late 19th and early 20th centuries ventured abroad, leaving a significant mark on globalization. They established businesses in various sectors, boosting economies and cultural exchanges and showcasing the dynamic role of individuals in shaping our interconnected world. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Indian trade played a central role in the rise of the global world system. Colonial powers, such as the British, exploited India's resources, making it a vital hub in the global trade network. This economic transformation reshaped the world, highlighting the complex interplay between colonialism, trade, and globalization. The interwar economy faced many difficulties between the two world wars. A fragile world environment resulted from the Great Depression, World War I's aftermath, and economic unrest. But creative solutions and economic recovery initiatives started to emerge, laying the groundwork for the turbulent events that would occur in the run-up to World War II. Wartime transformations in the 20th century were marked by profound changes. World War I introduced new military technologies and shifted political landscapes. World War II accelerated technological advancements and reshaped the international order. On the home front, societal changes and mass mobilization became defining features of these transformative periods. In the aftermath of World War II, post-war recovery efforts were nothing short of remarkable. From Europe's reconstruction through the Marshall Plan to Asia's economic miracles in Japan and South Korea, the world witnessed nations rebuilding and prospering. The establishment of the United Nations and social reforms also played vital roles in shaping a more peaceful and equitable global landscape. In the 20th century, mass production and consumption transformed economies and lifestyles. The assembly line, pioneered by Henry Ford, revolutionized manufacturing and consumer culture surged as people embraced a world of mass-produced goods. Narrator * The Great Depression, triggered by the 1929 stock market crash, plunged the world into economic catastrophe. Millions lost jobs, businesses crumbled, and poverty soared. Government interventions like Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal aimed to provide relief, recovery, and reform during this challenging era. The Great Depression had a significant impact on India. It led to a sharp decline in exports, widespread unemployment, and social unrest. This challenging period played a role in India's push for independence and influenced its future economic policies. After World War II, the post-war era focused on rebuilding the world economy. International cooperation and initiatives like the Marshall Plan played a crucial role in restoring economic stability and fostering global prosperity. After World War II, the post-war settlement gave rise to the Bretton Woods institutions. Established in 1944, these institutions, including the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, aimed to promote international economic stability and cooperation. In the early post-war years, the world faced immense challenges, including reconstruction after World War II. Efforts like the Marshall Plan and the creation of international institutions laid the foundation for recovery and cooperation in a war-torn world. Decolonization and the quest for independence were transformative movements in the mid-20th century. Former colonies, inspired by self-determination and nationalism, broke free from colonial powers, leading to the emergence of numerous new nations and reshaping the global order. The climax of this transformative era came with the dramatic end of the Bretton Woods system in the early 1970s. This watershed moment unleashed a tidal wave of change, propelling the world into a new era of globalization. Unprecedented technological advancements and increased interconnectedness set the stage for a global landscape of unparalleled complexity and dynamism. In summary, our journey through the making of the global world has unveiled a rich tapestry of history. From the Industrial Revolution to contemporary globalization, we've witnessed the world's evolution. As we conclude, let's keep in mind that our present choices shape the future. Together, we can create a more equitable and promising global landscape. In India, the primary means of transportation for massive loads and bulky goods over long and short distances are the railways. The role of railways in India's economy has increased. However, there are some issues with rail transportation as well. For the purpose of laying down the railway lines, bridge construction is necessary across the wide beds of rivers. Railway tracks are inserted into the peninsula's hilly terrain through small hills, gaps, or tunnels. The Himalayan mountainous regions are also unfavorable for the construction of railway lines because they have the highest surface elevations, a small population, and few opportunities for employment. Railway lines are challenging to install on sandy plains. A pipeline network distributes fluids using pipes, typically underground. These are used to move materials such as water, natural gas, crude oil, petroleum products, factories that make fertilizer, and massive thermal power plants. When transformed into a slurry, solids can also be transported through a pipeline. There are 3 significant pipeline transportation networks in the nation. Upper Assam oil field to Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat's Salaya to Punjab's Jalandhar. From Gujarat's Hajirat to Uttar Pradesh's Jagdishpur. The most affordable form of transportation is by water. They are best suited for transporting bulky and heavy items. It is an environmentally friendly and fuel-efficient mode of transportation. India's national waterways are the Ganga River, located between Haldia and Allahabad, 1,620 kilometers, is the NW number 1. NW number 2, the 891 kilometers stretch of the Brahmaputra River between Sidia and Dhubri. Kerala's West Coast Canal, Katapermakalam, Udiogamandal, and Champakara canals, is NW number 3 and spans 205 kilometers. NW number 4, specific sections of the Godavari and Krishna rivers as well as the 1,078 kilometers of canals between Kakinada and Puducherry. NW number 5, specific sections of the Brahmani River, the Matai River, the Mahanadi and Brahmani River Delta channels and the East Coast Canal, 588 kilometers. The Mandavi, Zwari, and Kumbarjua rivers, as well as the Sundarbans, Barak, and the backwaters of Kerala are the means through which transportation takes place. The ports are where India conducts its international trade. In India, there are 200 notified non-major, minor/intermediate ports and 2 major ports. The first port to be developed after independence was Kandla and Kutch. The Deendayal port is another name for it. The largest port is in Mumbai, which has a large, naturally protected harbor. India's top port for exporting iron ore is Marmagao port in Goa. Iron ore is exported through Karnataka's Mangalore port. The most southwesterly port, Kochi, is situated at a lagoon's entrance. The most southeasterly point is where Tuticorin port is located. One of India's first man-made ports was in Chennai. The most secure and deepest landlocked port is in Visakhapatnam. Iron ore exports are the primary business at the Odisha port of Paradip. An inland river port is Kolkata. To ease mounting pressure on the Kolkata port, Haldia port was created as a subsidiary port. The quickest, coziest, and most distinguished means of transportation is the airway. High mountains, gloomy deserts, deep woods, and lengthy oceans are now easy to reach thanks to air travel. In 1953, the air industry was nationalized. Both local and international flight travel is offered by Aviation India. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation uses helicopter services from Pawan Hans Helicopters Limited for its offshore activities in challenging terrain and inaccessible locations. But the average person cannot afford to travel by plane. Television, radio, the press, movies, and other media are the main forms of communication in India. The biggest postal system in the world is found in India. It manages both personal written correspondence and packages. Airlifters transport first-class mail between stations that serve both the ground and the air. Packets of books, registered newspapers, and periodicals are all included in second-class mail. Surface mail is used to carry them over land and the ocean. One of Asia's biggest telecom networks is found in India. By fusing the advancement of communication technology with that of space technology, subscriber trunk dialing (STD) capabilities are now available all throughout India. In addition to providing amusement, mass media raises public awareness of numerous national policies and programs. Radio, television, newspapers, magazines, books, and movies are all included. A variety of shows are broadcast on the India radio channel, Akashwani, in national, regional, and local languages. One of the biggest terrestrial networks in the world is Doordarshan, the national television network. In nearly 100 different languages and dialects, India publishes a significant number of newspapers. Trade is the exchange of goods between individuals, groups of states, and nations. International trade refers to trade between two nations. It is regarded as a nation's economic barometer. The elements of trade are import and export. The difference between a country's exports and imports represents its trade balance. A positive trade balance is one in which exports are greater than imports in value. An unfavorable trade balance is one in which imports are greater than exports in value. India exports a variety of goods to other nations such as gems and jewelry, chemicals and related products, agricultural products, and so on. Petroleum crude and products, gems and jewelry, chemicals and related products, base metals, electronic items, machinery, agriculture, and allied products are among the goods imported to India. The tourism sector directly employs more than 15 million people. Travel to India encourages racial integration, supports regional handicrafts and cultural endeavors, aids in the growth of a global understanding of Indian heritage and culture. For heritage tourism, ecotourism, adventure tourism, cultural tourism, medical tourism, and business tourism, foreign visitors travel to India. Investments are sums of money used to purchase assets like real estate, buildings, machinery, and other equipment. A foreign investment is one that is made by MNCs. MNCs are having a significant impact on the output in these far-off places. Production at these widely separated sites is thereby becoming connected. The ways that MNCs are expanding their output and connecting with local producers in various nations throughout the world are outlined below. 1. By forming alliances with regional businesses. 2. By procuring goods from nearby businesses. 3. By fiercely rivaling with local businesses or acquiring them. MNCs collaborate with local businesses to set up production which benefits local businesses in the following ways. MNCs collaborate with local businesses to set up production which benefits local businesses in the following ways. 1. MNCs can first contribute funds for extra investments, such as the purchase of new machinery for increased production. 2. Second, MNCs might bring the newest production technology with them. Technology. One important aspect that has accelerated the trend of globalization is the quickening rate of technological advancement. Due to this, items may now be delivered over great distances considerably more quickly and cheaply. Instant access to information has been made possible by advancements in information and communication technologies. Liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Governments have imposed some limitations, such as trade barriers. The government can decide what types of goods and how much of each should enter the country by using trade barriers to either increase or limit control foreign commerce. An example of a trade barrier is a tax on imports. Liberalization is the process of removing governmental limitations or trade barriers. It is referred to as being more liberal when the government imposes less limitations than before. The World Trade Organization, WTO, is a group whose mission is to liberalize global trade. 164 nations around the world are WTO members at the moment. In order for developed nations to support free trade for all, they have established rules for international trade. Indian citizens' lives have been impacted by globalization in the following ways. Consumers now have more options and more products with better quality and lower prices. Thanks to this, higher standards of living are the result. Additionally, the globalization of business has opened up new opportunities for service providers, particularly in the IT industry. Fair globalization generates opportunity for everybody while simultaneously improving the distribution of globalization's advantages. The government can play a significant role in making this happen. Among the actions taken by the government are: it can guarantee that labor laws are effectively applied and that workers' rights are protected. It can help small manufacturers boost their output. The government can erect trade and investment obstacles if required. It can negotiate fairer regulations at the WTO. It can also join forces with other developing nations with similar objectives to combat developed country dominance in the WTO.